On Sunday, November 20, 2022, Sebastian Vettel drove his final F1 race. It was in Abu Dhabi. I was there the whole weekend, and in this video, I'm going to tell you what I experienced over those 4 days, seeing off one of the greats of Formula One. We had about 4 months' notice that Sebastian would be giving up racing in Formula One. He's an absolute gentleman and he will be surely missed in the F1 paddock. But what were the 4 days like in Abu Dhabi, his last Grand Prix race? Well, on the Thursday he was in around 10 a.m. and I walked the whole paddock with him up to the Aston Martin hospitality suite. All the way up there people were saying hi and looking for selfies. And this one particular woman here, very dramatic, in tears, short of breath and clearly in awe of the great man. But he was pretty cool about it. He said, look, calm down, it's no big deal. And she did calm down. He obliged with whatever she was asking and then headed on to the hospitality suite. I didn't see him too much during the day, but on Thursday evening, I noticed him going out for a track walk, not a run. That came later in the weekend, and that was a real highlight. But he was very popular with the crowd still hanging around in the stands after dark. They were cheering him, and he was certainly acknowledging them from the track. On the Friday, he was out on track for 2 practice sessions. Oh, and I should say at this stage, if you're after the world's best online staff training, click on the link in the description below for Canity.com. Hundreds of short, sharp training videos that will have your staff sounding and serving better. Don't take my word for it, go and have a look at Canity.com. You won't regret it. I noticed this big print out the front of the Aston Martin hospitality suite where everybody was encouraged to sign it and leave a short message of congratulations. I wrote mine, I think, on Saturday, and there was very little space left by then, I can assure you. But earlier in the day on Saturday, before I'd signed that board, Seb was out on track for FP3 and then, of course, for quali. And after quali, I decided I'd hang around the back of the FIA garage where the non-top 3 finishers come out. He made it into the top 10, so I did catch him coming out. And very rare shots of him giving his PA, well, it's more like his manager, Britta Ruska, a hug upon exiting the FIA garage. We don't see that, well, I'm going to say often. I don't think I've seen it at all in the past. And then it was off to the media pen to speak to all the networks. And then afterwards, he was dragged out, I think, to Sky Germany for an interview. And I was standing back with Britta and I was amazed at the number of people that were coming up to her saying, right, we need Seb straight after. Okay, well, you can have him in 7 minutes and you can have him for 3 minutes. Oh, no, we need him for 5. No, you can't. This mob over here need him. And are you live? Yes, we're live. Right, well, you have to go before them because they're recorded. And he was being pushed and pulled, unbeknownst to him, because he was sitting up there on stage just answering questions. And as soon as he got off that stage, Britta would say, right, now you've got to go over here. And she would drag him through a crowd of people to get across there in time for these live crosses. Once all that had finished, I gather he had a couple of minutes back at the hospitality suite, and then it was out to the track for a run. I didn't realise what was going on here, and one of my colleagues, young James Sutton, said to me as he walked past, he said, are you coming out for this Seb run thing? And I said, no, I've got too much to do in here. And he said, it's going to be big on social media. Yeah, okay, I'm with you. So I ducked out there. Well, I couldn't believe the crowd on the track. I had no idea that what was planned was happening. Everybody got a t-shirt, myself included. I'm guessing there were probably 300 people on the track that wanted to run with Sebastian, including 2 drivers, Charles Leclerc. I didn't see Charles, but I definitely know he was there. But I did see Mick Schumacher. He was right up the front and got a hug from Seb before they headed off. And that's a great relationship I'm sure you would be aware of, where Seb has very much taken Mick under his wing to guide him in his entree into F1. Stefano Domenicali made sure that Seb was greeted. He grabbed the microphone and had a couple of words. And then everybody lined up, well, not us, because we were photographing the event. And there was about probably 30 media strung across the track. And at some point it was decided that they would go, and Seb led the field away, running directly towards us. And at some point he had to make a channel between the 2 or 3 deep media pack that had formed. And then they headed off around the track. I didn't stay for the end, but this picture was my best of all of them. And it ended up being one of my top pictures ever on Instagram with 70,000 plus likes. Not my biggest, but certainly very popular. And it reminded me a little bit of the picture I took of Seb picking up rubbish after the Silverstone race going back 2021, where he went over there, collected rubbish on his own accord, didn't want anyone really to know about it. and I happened to get the heads up from the other side of the track. I shot with a long lens, captured these amazing pictures, and that was at the time my biggest ever post, which has since been eclipsed. Next up, Sunday, but before I get there, let's run through a few stats of Sebastian's career, because it is impressive. He started in 299 F1 races. He's been entered in 300. He scored 4 championships back-to-back from 2010 to 2013 with Red Bull. He's had 53 wins, 122 podiums, career points 3,098, 57 pole positions, 38 fastest laps. His first race was the 2007 US GP. His last race, as you know, the 2022 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. His first win, 2008 Italian GP, and his last win was the 2019 Singapore Grand Prix, and I'm proud to say that I was there to witness that event. The German driver's driven under the number 5 for all seasons except 2014 when he switched to number 1, which of course he had the right to do, having won in 2013. And was his family there for the final race? Because as you probably know, his wife Hannah and his 3 youngsters are rarely, if ever, sighted in the paddock. The answer is yes. Indeed, Hannah was there along with his 3 children, and I caught them out the front of the Aston Martin hospitality suite on Sunday. But as you may know, there are no pics of Sebastian's youngsters on social media. That's the way he wants it. Britta asked everybody in the media not to post any pictures of the kids, and despite a number of us photographing Hannah, I think everybody's chosen not to run them at this stage. So arriving early on Sunday morning, he had a huge media day, and then eventually he made it out onto the track for the FIA drivers group shot. He was the last one out, and he individually went to every single driver and fist bumped them, all across the front row, all across the back, and then he was up the very back row, squashed into the corner. And it looks a bit funny, doesn't it? This group picture here, especially when you see the amount of room that Max has and how tightly squashed those 4 at the back left-hand corner of this shot are. He started the race, he finished the race, and I did think that he might actually come out the back of the FIA garage, and I thought that might have been where the shot was. Unfortunately, I didn't realise he'd be doing donuts out on the track and being interviewed, but afterwards I did catch him in an interview, and he looked a little bit teary at this point. And indeed, that was the final picture I took of Sebastian in his F1 career as a driver. And this was the very first picture I took of him at the 2017 Australian Grand Prix doing the driver portraits. What's my funniest picture of the man? I think probably this shot in Miami earlier this year, putting on those underpants. And why was he wearing them? Well, he was having a dig at the FIA because they were demanding that everybody had to wear fireproof underwear. So he wore his underwear on the outside of his suit as he made his way from the hospitality suite to the garage. At 35, he certainly had a rich career in F1, longer than most, and over the past couple of years, he's really had an impact in social issues. Of course, with his rainbow shoes, pushing environmental causes with various t-shirts, and I'd often get the heads up from Britta, and that was the case in Baku, where she mentioned that he's wearing a special t-shirt, and I managed to get him to put it on after he'd done a corporate thing for the team. But I've been very impressed with the way he's really taken up this litter challenge, and I often see him stopping and picking up litter in various places and throwing it in the bin. And it's not for PR value, I've said this before, it's because he's genuine about it, and I think that rubs off on a lot of us. Speaking of Britta, what will she be doing now? Well, I believe she'll continue to work with Seb for the time being because he's still got a lot going on, even though he's not an F1 driver. But long term, I'm not sure. I imagine he'll still want somebody looking after him. He's certainly a big enough name, isn't he? When you look at it, we really have nobody else quite like Sebastian Vettel, do we? If you love Seb, or even just like him, you're certainly going to miss him come race weekends. I know I will. I'll miss out some great shots, some great funny interactions, but I don't think that's the end of Seb. I think he'll pop back from time to time, and I can assure you that he will be photographed enthusiastically by one and all. If you've liked this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't liked it, still hit the like button anyway. Subscribe and become a member for a whole host of extras. You'll find all of my digital images at prostarpics.com for my F1 merchandise, signed prints from the likes of Valtteri Bottas, Alex Albon, who else is there? Gunther Steiner, and even Nick De Vries. There's one left. Get on to kimillman.com. And for my best images live from the track and all during the week, including the off-season, go to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching and stay passionate. G'day with Chris. G'day, Christmas is just around. G'day, Christmas is not too far. G'day, Christmas is not too far away, and if you're looking for great F1 Christmas